if I have to share the uh, challenge from the teacher's point of view, there is a big challenge about plagiarism, right? That's one of the biggest concerns. Another concern is that how do we limit the technology to be to give out curated, so how do we have a guardrail around the technology so that it doesn't uh, so that it keeps our children safe, because we don't know how they're interacting with the technology. So, or are you saying that the technology is not yet ready to be given in the hands of the students?
My sense is we are not at a very mature point in terms of it being handed over to students directly.
Okay.
In many use cases.
Okay.
At least
Especially in schools.
without monitoring, definitely, I think it's not a great idea to do that. There are a plethora of platforms, tools, companies trying to figure out how to, get these agents or tutoring assistants in the hands of the children,
Yeah.
and saying that it's going to be magical. It's good, they can solve any
I'm
question.
seeing a lot of
they can,
ads.
They can show off image of a question and it'll get
Yes.
solved immediately, and so on and so forth. But is that learning? Is that just an expedient way of finishing your homework, or what's happening through the pedagogy behind these agents is not very clear. And therefore, we have to understand not just the guardrails, which is whether they are being exposed to content that they should not be exposed to, or they're generating content which is clearly plagiarized from somewhere and they should not be using it. We have to figure out how those parameters work and responsibly guide the use of AI with the students themselves. For example, we were talking about a project-based experiential system that could be created, in which a student gets, say, a project to do, and there are multiple tasks to be done in that project. An assistant guide, kind of a AI agent, which helps them as a supplementary agent to in certain tasks that they need to solve. That could possibly be one use case to do in a guided environment. So it has a very closed parameterized way in which you can give it to the students. But saying that any agent which you create in 2 hours of writing, without writing a single line of code and giving it to the students, I don't think that's a good idea. There are companies that are giving out tools for teachers to create agents on their own. So teachers can then say, I want an agent that can teach my class 5 maths student a particular concept in, say, algebra or in some other number systems. And then they are able to assign those agents to the students in the classroom. And then the student works with those agents and then does something. I don't know, does something meaningful or not, I don't know. But the entire idea of being able to do something, just use technology to do something that seems so superficial. Where is the in-depth knowledge required to build actually an assistant, a teaching assistant? It's not going to come in a few lines of prompt engineering. If you learn prompt engineering and write a few lines of code and create an agent, that's not how teaching assistants work. They come with a lot of knowledge about pedagogy, about students' difficulties, and that is not possible for every teacher to sort of embed into the design of an agent. So I think that those kind of interventions are rather ineffective and maybe even dangerous. Whereas if you were to look at maybe creating an entire learning ecosystem or learning language model, for example, like Google has created with LearnLM, can we go ahead and create those kind of ecosystems in which then educators can come in and safely create sound pedagogical agents that can be tested, monitored, and sent across?